Welcome to Argyle, a community on the south-southeastern coast of the main island of St. Vincent. It's the site of the international airport, the largest infrastructural project undertaken by the government of this multi-island nation. In this interview, I speak with Dr. Rudy Matthias, the Chief Executive Officer of the International Airport Development Company, the IADC, which is tasked with the responsibility of the construction of the airport.
Who do you turn to for the best in radio when you want to know what's happening in news and sports, and for exciting educational programming? Who's there to reach out to the community and touch you personally in your time of need? And who can you count on to be there when the storms come? And tell me this, where do you turn for the best quality music and entertainment in SVG? You turn to NBC. That's who, your family action station. Let the others talk. We stimulate the brain. 90.7, 107.5 FM.
I believe we have done very well since we started the International Airport project at Argyle. As you would recall, the Prime Minister made his announcement in August 2005. But before that, we were engaged in a lot of preliminary works that allowed the government to take this decision to build the airport. We started, in fact, on this project way back in 2003, when we evaluated all of these studies that were done by consultants up to that time. Our job then was to evaluate the work done to advise the government on which of the two sites, that is the Kitchen site and the Argyle site, might be the preferred site for the construction of the new airport. As you know, the government took the decision in 2005 to construct the new airport at Argyle. We have been engaged in construction work since August 2008, and we have been going at it up to this time. We are substantially advanced though in the earthworks that we need to get done at Argyle. In fact, right at this time, we are about 92% complete in the earth and site works. There are a number of other things that we are doing, including buildings and also retrofitting the buildings and creating the parking lot and other circulation roads. But I would say, all in all, that over the years, we have done very well with the construction of the airport project.
Could you elaborate a bit more regarding the earthworks? Precisely what is involved?
When we went to Argyle in 2008, we met there at the site 3 large mountains and 3 valleys. And these mountains and valleys had to be cut and filled to create a level area on which we build our airfield. So that we've been engaged since 2008 in the process of cutting and filling and compacting the areas to build our airfield, as well as the area for the terminal building and other buildings. Right at this moment, we are continuing that work. We have been doing that work since August 2008, and by the end of this year, we will finish the earth and site works. We are right now building an embankment at the southern end of the runway, on which we are going to be installing our simple approach lighting system for night landing. At the northern head of the runway, we are building also an embankment, which is a sea defense to protect the northern head of the runway from the sea. We are also constructing a series of culverts, and some people prefer to call them tunnels because they are fairly large, through which the Argyle River, or if you prefer the Yambo River, will flow under the runway. So the Yambo River will continue to flow its normal course, except that it will flow through a series of culverts under the runway. As you know, Argyle is in a low-lying area, and on the west of the airfield there are several mountains, and the water will naturally collect in these mountains and run down to the low area, so that we have to create then a series of drains and culverts to convey the water down to the sea. So that is part of the site works that we are engaged in now. We are also cutting an area where we will construct our fuel farm. That is the aircraft refueling facility, as well as preparing an area for our parking lot. So these are some of the significant earth and site works that are taking place right now, which we believe will be completed by the end of 2014.
What progress is being made on the construction aspect of work?
There are several buildings that we have to construct as part of the Argyle International Airport. And as you know, we have already completed construction of the terminal building. The passenger terminal building was constructed by a Taiwanese firm called OECC, Overseas Engineering Construction Company. It was also designed by a Taiwanese firm called CECI Engineering Consultants. And that building was constructed and handed over to IDC in December of 2013. At this time, we are starting the process of retrofitting the terminal building. And by retrofitting, I mean putting in things like the scanners, the check-in counters, the conveyor belts, and other furniture and equipment that you normally would have in a terminal building. Our government has also approved of us buying 2 air bridges, so that we are going to be buying and attaching 2 air bridges to the terminal building. These air bridges would allow us to enplane and deplane passengers from the large aircraft that will come to Argyle. So the terminal building is essentially finished, and we are in the process now of retrofitting it. We are also making good progress with the other buildings. We have a contract with a Canadian firm called Aeronav to supply the cabin, that is the air traffic controller's cabin, which they are making right now in Canada and will ship here and install on the control tower base that has been constructed. The firm Aeronav will also supply all the communication equipment that we need in that cabin and all the airfield navigational equipment. So in effect, the control tower and equipment are being supplied by 2 construction companies, a local firm as well as a Canadian firm. The aircraft rescue and firefighting station is also being constructed at this time, and we have a contract with a construction company from Barbados. Their contract is to get that building done by August this year, and they too are on track. So while they construct that, we are now in the process of sourcing the firefighting equipment that we need for that aircraft rescue and firefighting station. Indeed, we have already paid the 15% to an American company to supply the 3 fire trucks that we need for the fire station. And these trucks are supposed to be delivered to us in September this year. And we found out that the trucks are in the process of being manufactured, and they should be available to us in September this year. There are several other small buildings that we have to construct, and these include a cargo terminal, which we are now in the process of redesigning and will start construction soon, with a view to completing that construction by the end of this year. Indeed, these are small buildings. We also intend to build a small, what we call FBO and hangar, to provide services to the jets and the other people of that caliber that come to Argyle and need that type of service. And this is a small building that can be designed and built within a fairly short period of time. Right now, we are also preparing to build the circulation roads within the airport fence, and also some roads that were affected by the airport being constructed in Argyle. And these roads are in the process of being built right now. So in sense, these are the works that are ongoing at Argyle.
This is the single largest infrastructural project being undertaken by a government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and it's been unfolding at a time of serious economic global downturn. So the financing of the project would obviously be a major challenge. How have you addressed this and other challenges on this project?
We have always had this challenge of building an international airport on mainland St. Vincent. Indeed, this is the reason why we are only now building this airport on mainland St. Vincent. The cost of the project relative to the size of our economy is very high. And for that reason, previous governments have found it a significant challenge that they were not able to overcome. This administration, though, has been able to find a creative way of financing the airport project. And the way we have done it is, as is well known now, a combination of grants and aid from friendly countries, the selling of crown lands by the government, and a small amount of private debt financing. If we were to use mainly debt financing, we demonstrated very early in the life of the project that it would have been detrimental to the overall development of our country. And for that reason, we have to thank very much a large number of countries that have come to our aid in the construction of this airport project. And here I'm talking about countries like Cuba, Venezuela, Taiwan, Trinidad and Tobago. We've got some small amounts of help from Austria, from Mexico, from Libya, from Iran, from Georgia, and recently we got some help from the CARICOM Development Fund. In addition to these countries and organizations, many Vincentians, patriotic Vincentians, have also contributed to the airport project. So the financing problem have been resolved over the years, and we are now on the threshold of completing the Argyle International Airport project.
How big an issue was the relocation of residents from the airport site?
Perhaps one of the most challenging aspects of the construction works at Argyle was to relocate the 130 homeowners who were located within the site. In fact, I think my board of directors has always viewed this aspect of the work as perhaps the most challenging. And why is it challenging? We are talking about 130 homes, middle-income homes, people who chose to live in Argyle, having built their relatively comfortable homes and are now being asked to move. So we knew when we went to Argyle that was going to be one of the biggest challenges. I can say though that it turned out to be perhaps not as difficult as we thought it might have been. We got a lot of support from many of these homeowners. And why did we get support? We understood from our consultations with them that while they were happy to remain in their homes, they recognized and understood the importance of the airport project to the continued development of our country. And many of them expressed the view that providing they were treated fairly, they would be more than happy to rebuild their homes elsewhere. So we knew exactly what we had to do in order to surmount that challenge. So we entered into arm's length negotiations with the homeowners. Everything that we did with them was done transparently. We offered them reasonably good packages. We offered them a number of concessions, and we assisted them in a myriad of ways so that they can relocate from the Argyle site and rebuild their homes elsewhere. And how are some of the ways we assisted them? As you know, we bought 3 large parcels of land elsewhere and subdivided these lands with drainage, water, electricity, and all the other facilities that you normally would put in a subdivision. And we sold these land parcels to the homeowners at very concessionary rates. Perhaps today the Harmony Hall site, which is our biggest subdivision, is one of the best residential areas in St. Vincent right now. And anyone who goes to Harmony Hall must agree that it is a delightful place to live. In addition to assisting them in that way, we also ensured that the homeowners, or if you like property owners, didn't have to pay any legal fees in the process of them selling to us or buying properties to replace the properties that they sold. When the property owners were compensated, we also allowed them to take all the fixtures and fittings from their homes, which made it easier for them to rebuild their new houses. So all in all, we felt that we provided them with a reasonably good compensation package, which also helped them in their relationship with us. But it was, though, one of the important challenges that we had to overcome. And I think most people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines also recognize that as one of the significant challenges that we had. But I also think that now most people recognize that we handled it very well. I am happy to say, though, that we have met all of these challenges face on. Perhaps one of the most recent challenges we've had to confront is the death of our chief project engineer, Jeffrey Cato. Jeffrey Cato made a marked contribution to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but he was our star at IADC, and his death has left a significant void in the engineering department of the IADC. Over the years, though, Jeffrey, as he was a nurturing person, trained many young engineers, and these are the young engineers that have now come forward to assume many of the responsibilities Jeffrey had when he worked with us as the chief project engineer. So we are happy that he not only did a good job while he was alive, he also nurtured and trained many young engineers who are now able to carry on the work that Jeffrey started. And we believe that with these young persons now stepping up to the table, that we are able to overcome the difficulty that we would have had of Jeffrey's passing. There is no reason now for me to think that we are not able to carry on. Perhaps not nearly as efficiently as we would have if Jeffrey were alive, but we would be able to carry on nonetheless. And this is one of the other challenges that we've had to overcome on this project.
Who do you turn to for the best in radio when you want to know what's happening in news and sports and for exciting educational programming? Who's there to reach out to the community and touch you personally in your time of need? And who can you count on to be there when the storms come? And tell me this, where do you turn for the best quality music and entertainment in SVG? You turn to NBC. That's who, your family action station. Let the others talk. We stimulate the brain. 90.7, 107.5 FM.
This project has elicited a range of reactions: skepticism, opposition, full acceptance. What do you see as some of the main benefits of having an international airport in St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
As I said, the project is being done now because it has always been difficult to do. And the difficulty stems not so much from the technical aspects of the project, but from the financial aspects of the project. Every Vincentian knows that the Argyle Airport project is costly. And every Vincentian knows that we are a small, relatively poor island state. So that when the government announced its decision to build the airport in 2005, the widely held view at the time was that it probably can't be done. And that view was held not because people felt that the engineers couldn't do the work. The view was held that the government couldn't find the money to get the airport project constructed. And for good reasons, because the airport project, relative to the size of our economy, is very large. Once we started construction, as you said, in 2008, many persons had come around to the view that perhaps it is possible after all. Indeed, by that time, we had already relocated at least 1/3 of the homes within the airport site. So that as we succeed in that way, more and more people began to develop hope that what they felt initially was impossible can after all be done. And as we make progress over the years, we are seeing more and more people being converted to the idea that this airport project can be done after all. Indeed, we are at this very point now where no one seems to be saying anymore that it can't be done. The pressure on IDC and the government today is, can you name a date when the airport project will be finished? Now, this is far and wide from the view held in 2005 that it was impossible. So I am happy that we have converted, if not all of the persons in this country, well, all of Vincentians at home and abroad, I'm happy that we have converted the overwhelming majority of them, because the issue now that confronts us is, give us a date when the airport project will be finished. It will be finished this year, I believe. It should be substantially completed by the end of this year. And I believe strongly too that, God's willing, we should have the airport project operational in 2015. Now, I don't want to give definitive dates because there are so many things that can affect these milestones. But we are working steadfastly to completing the construction this year. And once that is finished, early in 2015, the airport should be operational. We started building this airport because we know that we have a significant tourism product. And for many years, the absence of the airport has been one of the factors that undermine our ability to attract tourists here. If tourists are not coming, then we are not going to have investments in hotel. Indeed, the hotel investment is conditional on having proper air access to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we have been able to attract a large hotel like the Buchanan Bay without the airport. But I believe strongly that once the airport becomes operational, there will be a significant renewed interest in St. Vincent and the Grenadines by investors as well as by tourists. That is why we are building the airport. We are also expecting that our business people, agriculture, and other industry will also benefit from the presence of this airport. Freight charges are likely to be significantly less when we start operating at Argyle. And that will benefit all business people. Homes as well would benefit from freight charges, low freight charges. So that there is a whole gamut of things that are likely to change with this airport becoming operational. As we make investment in St. Vincent, we are going to create employment. And the government is going to benefit from the employment that is being created because people pay taxes. Then people spend money. There is VAT to be paid. And the investors who come here and set up their businesses are likely to make profits, and government is going to be making money from the businesses who come here and set up. So I can see that in the future, perhaps not necessarily next year, but in the future, government is going to be making a lot of money because it made this investment in the airport project.
I know that's been said, Arnos Vale is going to be phased out as an airport when the Argyle International Airport comes on stream. What preparations are being done to address this?
The Arnos Vale development is perhaps one of those things that we tend to overlook. In fact, the opportunity that the government has now for converting the lands at Arnos Vale is a significant opportunity for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We tend sometimes to forget that Arnos Vale is a flat area which amounts to about 62 acres of land, just outside of Kingstown. In fact, it is just about 5 minutes drive from Kingstown. And when Argyle becomes operational and airport operations are transferred to Argyle from Arnos Vale, we have a glorious opportunity to convert 62 acres of flat land at Arnos Vale into a commercial center. These lands are government lands. And so the government has a significant asset in Arnos Vale that it can develop and convert into dollars. A lot of that money that the government will earn from development of Arnos Vale can in principle be invested in Argyle Airport. But to the extent that we have Argyle operating, what the government has the opportunity to do is to use some of that money generated from the development of Arnos Vale to reduce any debt that it might have taken to construct Argyle. In addition to that, we have the possibility now of making land available to the investors who come to St. Vincent and who want to set up businesses. One of the things that we all know is that in Kingstown there is very little space available for new developments. And when you build an airport and you have investors wanting to come into the destination, they need land on which to build their facilities. So that the government has, right outside of Kingstown, a glorious opportunity to build Arnos Vale as a new center, as they did in Kingstown, Jamaica, New Kingston. We have that opportunity to build a new commercial center just 5 minutes from Kingstown. We have the possibility of building new hotels there. We can build new commercial buildings for banks. We can build, as is being touted now, perhaps a new hospital there. We have lands that we can build condominiums. It's a good opportunity for a new development. And all of this is going to generate a lot of money for the government. National Properties, which is a government agency, has ownership of this land. And over the years has been working with an architectural firm from Canada to do a master plan for the development of Arnos Vale. And I believe that perhaps by the end of this year, the government will announce what it plans and how it plans to convert these lands at Arnos Vale. And that conversion process will start soon after airport operations are transferred to Argyle. We are going to make some money from the development of Arnos Vale, and that money is going to go to the benefit of our organization.
Who do you turn to for the best in radio when you want to know what's happening in news and sports and for exciting educational programming? Who's there to reach out to the community and touch you personally in your time of need? And who can you count on to be there when the storms come? And tell me this, where do you turn for the best quality music and entertainment in SVG? You turn to NBC. That's who, your family action station. Let the others talk. We stimulate the brain. 90.7, 107.5 FM.
You have been at the helm of the International Airport Development Company, the IATC, from inception. So you are the person who have been driving this project more or less from both a personal and professional standpoint. What are the lessons that you have so far learned?
My life has changed remarkably by my involvement in this project. It has been a learning experience for me from day one to today. I believe, though, that I am not the only person who has benefited from this airport project. The whole of St. Vincent and the Grenadines should have benefited from the airport project. You recall that when we started, as I said, the widely held view was that the airport project couldn't be done. And what we have now in front of our eyes is the realization of a dream that we once felt was impossible. If nothing else, this realization should help us to condition our minds to think about the possibilities. Things are possible if you believe and you have faith and are prepared to work towards it. So at one stage, we felt that this was impossible. Now, we have achieved it. It should give us confidence. It should help us to see possibilities in the future. So that now we are talking about the conversion of the E.T. Joshua Airport site. And we are thinking that perhaps one way of linking the Arnos Vale site to Kingston is to build a small tunnel on the Cane Garden. No one should be thinking that that is impossible. Because surely, after you have done something as significant as building a new airport, when we all felt that it was near impossible, we should be thinking, our mind should now be in a place where we believe that just about anything is possible. So the government shouldn't have to be convincing anybody about what is possible at Arnos Vale. We should all be thinking, well, if we can build Argyle, we can do just about anything. And that is one of the things that has happened to me. When I come to a problem now, I hate to think that I cannot accomplish it. I hate to think that anything is beyond me now. And I hope that our realization of our dream at Argyle would have converted many of our Vincentians into thinking in this particular way.
I was speaking with Dr. Rudy Matthias, the Chief Executive Officer of the International Airport Development Company. This was the first of a three-part series about the development of the International Airport at Argyle in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I am Corletha Oliver.